Let me tell you something. I've been playing State of Decay 2 for a while now, and it's safe to say that I've learned a thing or two about the 32 different bases in the game, the ins and outs of pretty much all of them, separating the good from the bad. And in today's video I'll be talking about which 10 bases are the absolute best in State of Decay 2, and in what order. We'll cover everything today, every aspect of each base, the location, defense, unique features, everything. I'll also cover some interesting base trivia, such as which base is geographically the largest, what base has the most built-ins, and what base has the most freedom to build. I should also say that as a quick disclaimer that the ranking of these bases is opinions based. There's no way for it to not be opinions based to some extent. However, I did rank the bases off of various set factors such as defense, location, and value for resources. But without any more stalling, let's just get right into the video, starting off with number 10. Number 10, Wally's Bar and Grill. This is the 4-man base of Drucker County. It's located here, a pretty central location, in the biggest town on the map, Santa Maya. This is what it looks like when you first move in. 4 small slots and 1 large, as well as a built-in kitchen. That's pretty decent customization for a 4-man base. You'll notice that these 2 slots here are already filled with something. These are seating areas that provide a small number of beds, but you can tear them down for some free building materials. It's almost like a care package when you first move in, giving you some free building materials to help you settle in easier. The fact that we're in the biggest town is also a huge plus, because you have so many resources just on your doorstep, meaning that you can gather resources quickly and safely. In terms of base defense, it's pretty solid. It's got an impressive perimeter wall to it, with only 2 entry points, and then the building itself only has 2 entrances as well, which is pretty nice. I think the less entrances you have, the better, because you'll be able to keep track of where the zombies are pouring in from much easier. That being said, the zombies can still jump through the windows and climb over every part of the wall, so it's not all good. But for what you're paying for, it's not bad. Number 9, the Church on the Hill, Cascade Hills. This is a 5-man base, in fact it's one of 2 5-man bases on Cascade Hills. The other one is of course the Corner Office, an extremely similar base that is right beside it, and I've got to be honest, I had such a hard time trying to pick between these 2 for the number 9 spot. Both bases cost the same, are similar sizes and have a great location, but I didn't want both of them on the list, so I went for the Church on the Hill. Here's what it looks like the moment you move in. As you can see, it's got a built-in watchtower, and similar to the last base, it's got 2 slots, in this case church pews, that you can tear down for materials. In total, it has 1 large slot and 5 small for you to build on, and costs 1000 influence to move in. Now as I've already said, a huge plus of the base is its location. In fact, in terms of accessibility to all roads and areas on the map, this is probably the best. It's very close to a decent sized town, Lowell, which makes early game looting very nice. But the main reason why this base even made the top 10 and beats its close rival, the Corner Office, is because of one very distinct feature we can find in the watchtower. The ability to ring the bell and cause a siege may not look like an upside, but as I've already said in this video here, the top 3 ways to make influence, this is a money-making machine. I won't get into the details here. If you want to know how to set it up, consider watching the video. But this ability can net you over 1000 influence in just 10 minutes. And for minimal work, I mean you could even AFK farm this. It's broken. Only 2 bases in the entire game can do this, which makes the base even more special. But what makes it number 9? Why not higher? Well, it is quite small, and the building opportunity is limited. But you expect that for a 5-man base, and this is a great 5-man base. You're not going to stay in it forever, but it'll keep you safe for a while.
Don't think you can keep this place safe?
Number 8, Camp Kalinqua, Meager Valley. Now, this is one of the weirdest bases I've come across. Normally each base is just 1 building, or maybe even 2, but this one is different. The base itself is built in a flat green forest clearing with a massive palisade wall surrounding the place. Instead of 1 building, you get 4, 3 cabins and 1 main building. Here's what it looks like when you move in. 2 large slots and 4 small, once you tear down what's built on them and take the materials from this one of course. We also get 3 built-ins, a kitchen, a bunkhouse and a well. Now some of you watching may not like these built-ins, especially the well, but what I will say is that it's great for new players, and that's one of the main pros of this base. For a 5-man base costing 1000 influence to move in, this is incredible value. 2 large slots for a start, I mean that is great for a 5-man base. There's hardly any other 5-man bases with 2, and some larger bases only have 1. 4 small slots again is great value, not to mention the care package and materials that you get when moving in. Beds are pretty much taken care of, a kitchen is one of the best facilities you could have in my opinion, and the well just makes life easier for anyone that doesn't have the Builder Boon amenities yet. Another fantastic thing about this base is the land it takes up. Geographically, this is the biggest base in the game. The walls stretch so far and in every direction. There's a massive amount of free space you can roam about in, and this gives you pretty clean sightlines of any zombies that have wandered into the base. But all this open space may be compensating for one of the base's main weaknesses, its defence. Although the walls are impressive, it's weak, in some areas in particular. You can block most of these with cars, but you will probably run out of cars, and the zombies will just keep pouring in. The other weakness of the base is its location. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's located on the left side of the map, which isn't horrible because of the nearby looting spots, but any mission on the right side will cause you some stress and a lot of fuel, no doubt. But it made the number 8 spot because of its incredible size and value. Number 7. Pterodactyl Park, Trumbull Valley. Now we spoke about value with the last couple of bases, but in terms of getting the most from your influence and characters, this base takes the crown. Costing only 500 influence and 4 survivors, this base is located here in Trumbull Valley, on the outskirts of Spencer's Mill, one of the largest towns in this map. The base itself is made up of 4 trailers attached together by wood, rope and some other useful junk. When moving in, you get a souvenir caveman club and a new T-Rex t-shirt, which is a nice little bonus. The base itself has a little bit of extra lore attached to the Heartland DLC, but I won't spoil that secret. What I will say is that you should check out this spot here though. Looking at the facilities, you get 5 small slots and 1 large to play with, a built-in latrine, which actually gives you 10 more morale than the normal one, and 5 built-in beds. The storage is also upgraded, but you can't specialise it from what you could with the normal storage. For being a 4-man base, it's fairly large, but very compact at the same time, with most of the facilities you build being on the roof, which offers very good sightlines and a very good spot to build a watchtower, or maybe even 2. It has high wooden walls surrounding the whole place, and there's only 2 entrances, which should make defending the place easy. The wall only has 1 area that can be climbed over, and you get a lot of gaps in the wall to shoot out at your enemies. This base has been praised by every single State of Decay base reviewer I've seen, and they're right to praise it. This place is brilliant, especially for a 4-man base. In terms of its location, it's probably the second best on this map, beaten only by the farmland compound. But what the farmland compound doesn't have is good nearby looting spots, which this base definitely has. The only real critique I have with this base is its size. It may offer a lot of facilities, beds and neat little bonuses, but the lack of space you have can leave some players feeling uneasy, trapped, claustrophobic. This lack of space can weaken base defense as well. Let's say a juggernaut breaks in. The limited space to dodge incoming attacks can be pretty lethal, especially on higher difficulties. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but I'm leaving it at number 7, because I don't think any 4-man base could get much further. This base is brilliant. In fact, it's much better than a lot of the 5 and 6-man bases, but I think when your community gets a little bigger, and it will, you'll want something with more space. Number 6, Barricaded Strip Mall, Drucker County. Some of you will be surprised that this base even made the top 10, and then some others are probably asking why it's not higher on the list. I find with this base in particular, you either love it or you hate it, and we'll get into why in just a second. Right now though, let's talk about what it costs, where it's located, and what you get out of it. This is an 8-man base, costing 3,500 influence, and it's located here, in the top middle of the map, next to the town Mathilda, with a lot of great looting spots nearby, like this police station. This is what the base will look like when you first move in. It's got 3 large slots and 4 small to play with, as well as having 4 built-ins, which we'll talk about in a second. 3 of the small slots already have stuff built on it, which of course you can tear down, and you even get rewards for tearing 2 of them down. This laundromat here, which will give you parts, and the liquor store here, which will give you luxury items. I think this is a nice welcome package, and although it doesn't make up for what we spent on the place by any means, it's still a nice little bonus. 1 small slot is outside, which means you could still build a watchtower or any other outdoor specific facility, and 3 are inside, which gives you a lot of opportunity for bed facilities, if you want them. The 3 large slots are outside, like every other large slot in the game, and they're all lined up nicely in a row outside the shops, which makes the layout of the base look that little bit nicer. Let's look at the built-ins we have. A maxed out infirmary, kitchen, latrine and taekwondo gym, which is like a hybrid fighting gym and shooting range, offering you the ability to train fighting and cardio. I like all these built-ins. You'll always need an infirmary, and the kitchen and latrine are both great for morale. The kitchen also has a nice little bonus to its facility action speed, because the shop it was in had high-end top quality kitchenware, which I think is a really nice detail to have. The only one you could maybe argue being wasteful would be the taekwondo gym, but that's only if all your characters have maxed out stats, which doesn't happen very often. You'll still get a passive plus 20 health to all your community members from this facility, so it's still nice to have, as if you had a choice. The main criticism people have with the buildings in this base is that it doesn't really help with everyday problems, such as food and beds, which some other bases help with more, such as the Mazzara Farm or Fort Marshall. Moving on to the base defense, it's got a fairly high concrete wall that wraps around the whole perimeter. Some parts have been adapted with chain fences, but it works just as well. The wall has 4 entrances to it, one on each side. Because the building itself has 6 shops, the building has 8 entrances to it, 6 at the front, 1 per shop and 2 at the back. This makes it great for mobility, but not so good for defense. The zombies can climb over lots of areas of the wall as well, which doesn't help with the defense. Now, one of the biggest complaints people have with the barricaded strip mall is that for such a big base, some people find it claustrophobic, cramped, hard to move about in. That can make it hard to defend, tripping over things, survivors, not a lot of space to fight in. I think with the right setup though, it's not that hard to defend.
We can make it safe. How are we gonna do that?
Limited space also means there's less room for the zombies, almost funneling them in certain places. If you have a shotgun, the widespread shots will make clearing long hallways and tight corners really easy. You could also block off a few entrances and weak points to the wall, helping funnel the zombies even more. You also have access to the roof with the base, which gives you a great vantage point of every side of the base, allowing you to safely pick off the zombies before they even reach the wall. You can't build anything on the roof though, which is a shame, because that would have looked awesome. I really like this base though because I think it feels like one of the biggest, with how many separate rooms it has. Feels like we're rebuilding society almost. Overall, this base is great. Not a bad location, lots to build on, a nice little care package, and once you make some quick changes, it's not that hard to defend, which is why it makes the number 6 spot. Coming in at number 5, the Red Talon Daybreak FOB, Trumbull Valley. It's no surprise to me that this made the list, and if some of you are sitting there thinking it shouldn't, let me tell you why. This is the most unique base in State of Decay 2, and that's just not my opinion. This base really is. It's the only base to have built-in Red Talon buildings, the only base to have its own unique story quests, and it's the only base where you can call in Cleo supply drops for influence instead of prestige. More on that later. The Daybreak FOB, or Forward Operating Base, is an abandoned Red Talon base of operations, requiring 5 survivors and 1,500 influence. It's located here, in the second biggest town on Trumbull Valley, Fairfields. So it has great spots for looting, but it's quite out of the way, located near the top of the map, making driving a bit of a hassle. It's extremely compact, with no real buildings except for a couple of sheltered areas for sleeping and storage. The walls of the base are the same steel walls from the Daybreak game mode and encase the entire base. There's 2 entrances to the wall, opposite each other, and you can climb over 2 areas of the wall, which is intentional design similar to the Daybreak walls. The centrepiece of this base has to be the giant Ferris wheel built inside the walls, which you can see from far away. You can't go up it though, which is a shame. When moving into the base, you're given a free Red Talon security t-shirt and a melee weapon, the RTX Crusher, standard issue Red Talon weaponry. Now what people don't like about this base is that you can only get 1 small slot and 1 large slot to build with, so it's very limited. But hold on, hear me out. Instead of getting a lot of slots to play around with, you get every single Red Talon facility in the game as built-ins instead. If you wanted to have these in a normal base, it would cost you 12,000 prestige, roughly 7 full games of Daybreak, and then some. Now saying that, because the base was previously abandoned for whatever reason, all the facilities are run down, broken, rancid, needing fixed up. Some of the builds require you to radio in help from a nearby enclave, a character you could previously play as in the Heartland DLC, Chavez. He helps you find some specific materials to fix up the facilities, going out on some unique quests. One of the quests even gives you a free Red Talon soldier, which would have cost you 2,750 prestige otherwise. They are always the same character model, and their 5th skill is always the same, demolitions. But it's a free Red Talon soldier, I mean you'll take it. Now in terms of base defense, it's pretty good. Zombies can't climb over the walls, except for the intentional parts. Every wall has slits in them, allowing for you to shoot out at the zombies without them getting close to you, and with only having 2 entrances, zombies have very limited access points, and the built-in watchtower helps thin out any zombie traffic within the walls. The guards are also positioned on different vantage points of the base. Similar to Pterodactyl Park, the only bad thing with defending this base is combat is very close. If too many zombies do break in, or a couple of juggernauts, it could get messy, but that hardly ever happens. I forgot to mention as well that with the watchtower, you have built-in Cleo sniper support, which costs prestige every time you fire it, but it's the best sniper support in the game, which again you would normally need to buy for 1250 prestige. The Red Talon armoured storage is essentially a maxed out storage facility, with a massive bonus to fuel and ammo, which is definitely appreciated. The last thing I want to talk about briefly about this base is the Clio Relay. It's the exact same to the one you can buy, except with this one, you can request the Clio weapon supply drop for influence instead of prestige. I don't know how often or how much you like playing Daybreak, but I'd say influence is easier to get than prestige any day of the week. So that's the Red Talon Daybreak fob. Very unique, pretty easy to defend, and saves so much prestige, allowing new players to try before they buy. But the location for driving sucks, and your customization is extremely limited, which is why we've left it at number 5. Number 4, Squalone's Brewing Company, Meager Valley. Some people used to say that this was the best base in the game, and it probably was, with its ability to make luxury items, which I'll talk about very soon. It's located here, very central, next to a decent sized town, Squalones. It's a 6-man base that'll set you back 1500 influence. The base comes with 4 built-ins and 7 customizable slots. 2 of them are large and 5 are small. 3 of the small slots are indoor and 2 are outdoor. Looking at the built-ins, we've got a water tank, which provides base-wide water and a tiny bit of morale, and a tasting room, which is a cross between a kitchen and a lounge with the ability to make snacks and boost morale. For this specific ability here in the tasting room, Stock the Taps, we need craft beer. The secret to this base is success, for we can make beer in these 2 facilities here by using a bit of the food resource. You can use it to boost morale, or you can sell it for the standard price of luxury items. I remember when people first started making videos on this base, talking about how revolutionary it was, how it changes the game, and it does. And even though you can always make brewing stills in any other base, they don't quite compare to the brewing company themselves. There's a lot of challenge runs I do in the game that have this base implemented in the strategy. So we've covered its unique aspect, its location, the customization we have, but we haven't talked about the defence, so let's talk about it. It's a fairly large base with 2 big warehouses and a lot of space at the front, so you would think for a base this size it would be hard to keep the zombies out, but it's not really. The base is surrounded by a wall constructed of bricks, chains and wooden boards in some places. Part of the wall has been hit by a truck, but it still keeps the zombies out. The zombies can jump through the windows of the warehouse and some parts of the wall though, which does weaken the defence. Of course this can be solved by blocking some weak points with cars, and the open space at the front of the base provides a good space for battle against the zombies. Overall, this base is, and has always been, solid. Good location, pretty good customization, and the ability to make luxury items. The only things that keep it at number 4 is that it's not the easiest base to defend, and there are some bases that are just better than it. Years ago though, this would have made top 3 easy. And now we're on to the top 3, and we're starting off strong with a base tailored to new players, Prescott Fire Station, Providence Ridge. It's an 8-man base costing 3,500 influence. A little bit of trivia for you, it's the base with the most facilities overall, and the base with the most built-ins, which is mainly why new players will love it. The Prescott Fire Station is a fire station, shocker, in State Decay 2, located downtown in Providence Ridge, specifically in Prescott. Another shocker. There's a lot of good looting here, but again, driving from place to place is difficult. But once you hear about everything this base has, you might not ever want to leave. Starting with the built-ins, and there's 7 of them, we have a utility room, which provides base-wide power and water for no cost, unreal. A fully maxed out workshop, a latrine, a sleeping quarters with 4 beds, a standard kitchen, an emergency services training area, which is another hybrid training station, giving you the ability to train cardio, fighting and learn medicine, as well as a bonus to max health. And lastly, we have a scout tower, which is like a super watchtower, providing 3 armed guards who can be seen defending various parts of the station for no ammo cost whatsoever. Amazing. As well as the built-ins we also have 2 large facility slots to play with, and 3 small, one of them being indoors and 2 of them being outdoors. The base also, technically, has 3 floors, one of the only bases in the game to have this much. The corner office in Cascade Hills also has 3 floors. Looking at the defence, the base holds up pretty well. The wall that surrounds the entire base is about head height, made of bricks and steel spikes, with no areas that the zombies can climb over. The only thing they can climb over is this massive fire engine that has crashed into the front gate, but it takes them a while. The courtyard section inside the walls is very spacious, which makes any fights within the base a lot easier. The previous occupants of this base have also left us a kind little tip on this board beside the watchtower. What it basically says is that if we shoot this giant bell on the other side of the road, it will ring, making a lot of noise and drawing zombies away, leaving them confused. This is a cool feature and can be very helpful in the event of a siege.
So what's the main reasons for ranking this so high? Well, almost every built-in is very useful, offering unique and discounted things. Despite the utility room not being very useful to older players because of the amenities, it's probably one of the top 3 most useful facilities in the game to new players, third only to the workshop and infirmary. It saves them having to invest in power and water outposts or base facilities, so it definitely deserves its place in the base. Overall, the space, customization and useful built-ins you get with this place is great. It's also easy to defend, has a lot of nearby looting and best of all, is great for new players. The only thing that keeps this base at third is its location. Driving times are long and very taxing on your fuel, which in the long run is a big negative. You also don't get as much freedom to build, which can annoy some players. Number 2, the Container Fort, Cascade Hills. This is where the top 10 gets a little bit boring, because this place and the number 1 spot are the best bases in the game by far. You see them at the top in almost every ranking video, and this one's no exception. This is probably my favourite base, and in my heart, I wanted to put it at number 1, but I can't. The Container Fort is an 8-man base costing 3,500 influence and located here, at the bottom of the map, in the town Limestone. Probably the biggest town in Cascade Hills, so a lot of looting. A little bit of trivia for you, it is one of the only bases in the game with 8 available slots to build on, which is the most in the entire game, tied with a couple of other bases. One of them is the Lundegard Lumber Mill in Providence Ridge. The Container Fort is a massive square compound made of shipping containers, as you would expect. The walls are made up of multiple containers stacked on top of each other for incredible vantage points and defense. These walls cover the entire span of the base except for a tiny gap up the top, which is covered by a tall chain fence. The inside of the base is also made up of multi-leveled containers with ladders, stairs and even bridges to help navigate your way around. All the levels and sections to the base makes it feel absolutely massive, which is why I love this base so much. There's only 2 entrances to the base, both of them being just a small door, which allows an easy funneling system for the zombies. There was even a time when juggernauts could not fit through these doors, although I think that's been changed more recently. The chain fence can be climbed over, in fact it's the only part of the base that can be climbed over, and I've been told that certain facilities built here can act as a wall, blocking the zombies from climbing the fence, but I'm not 100% sure if that's true. Let's look at the home base screen. This is what it looks like when you move in. 2 large slots, 6 small, one of them being indoor, the rest being outdoor. Not a single built-in. With a Container Fort, what you see is what you get. But is it really? One thing we can't see straight away is a little passive bonus to this facility slot here. If we look at it, we can see that it has a bonus called Sheltered Beds, offering 8 built-in beds passively, for no cost. It doesn't even take up a facility slot. You could have any facility you want here and have 8 beds slapped on top of it. If we look at the command centre, we also get an effect called Castle Doctrine, which gives us 4 armed guards patrolling the wall for no ammo cost whatsoever. Brilliant. Even better than the fire station's watchtower. Seeing as this place is made of containers, the storage is also top of the range, giving us a +10 to all resources and even more storage for ammo and fuel. Overall, this place is so easy to defend. There's only 2, or at the absolute worst, 3 entrances to deal with, and if you want to, you can easily block them with cars. The 4 built-in guards you get add to the defense, and the sheer height of the walls gives you really good sight of the zombies, picking them off with ease. This base is amazing.
It was perfect.
But what makes it number 2 instead of number 1? Well, it's the same as the last base. Its location. The location sucks. Located in the bottom left corner of the map makes reacting to any timed missions difficult. It puts a lot of stress on your mission and supply runs and burns through an absolute ton of fuel, and that's what keeps it from number 1. We all saw it coming. Anyone that's seen the base knows how good it is. It could only be the number 1 spot. Of course I'm talking about the farmland compound on Trumbull Valley. This base is a 6-man base located here, smack bang in the centre of the Trumbull Valley map, not too far from Spencer's Mill, which offers pretty good looting spots. Despite being a 6-man base, the base itself costs 3,500 influence. Why is a 6-man base so expensive? We'll get into that. Maybe it's the game telling you how good the base really is. The farmland compound is a base we previously saw in State of Decay 1 and Heartland, only at that point in time the barn was run down and separate from the house. Now it's been modified so that the house itself, the barn and 2 storage sheds are all sheltered in the walls. The walls themselves are made of bricks, and although they're quite low, they have spikes sticking out the top, which the zombies can't climb over. The barn section has different walls made of chain and barbed wire. The only part of the wall that zombies can climb over is this bit here, quite close to the shed area. The base has 4 entrances, 2 of them being very close together, and the windows of the house are reinforced with steel bars, preventing any zombies from getting in. Let's have a look at what the base has to offer. Right from the get-go, when we move in, we can see that everything needs fixed and that some things need removed. We don't get any bonus items from removing this stuff though, except for of course more land to build on. Once everything's repaired and cleared, we get 4 large facility slots, which is almost the most large facility slots in the game, second only to the lumber mill in Providence Ridge, having 5. We also get 2 small outdoor facility slots and 1 indoor. The 3 built-ins we get are a refugee clinic, which is basically a maxed out infirmary, a backyard barbecue pit, essentially a slightly better kitchen, and a sturdy bunkhouse, which offers 6 beds, split between these 2 sheds, but if we want, we have the option to pack the bunk rooms, which gives us 2 extra beds at the cost of a little morale penalty. There's nothing special about the storage or the command centre, apart from the fact that the command centre is in its own little wooden treehouse tower thing. I really like how you can climb a ladder in the barn to get this lookout point here, giving you a great overview of the base you've built up, allows you to check the progress you make, and admire the obstacles you've overcome. There's so many things to love about this base. The built-ins are all so useful, the amount of large facility slots you get are brilliant, and the overall space of the base is lovely, with plenty of space to walk about and live in. The location of the base is the best in the map, and one of the best in the entire game, and defending this base is pretty easy too. Although it doesn't come with any built-in guards, there's plenty of opportunity to build a watchtower, and there's a lot of open space to fight in, and there's almost no weak points in the entire wall. I suppose the worst thing about this base is how misleading the requirements are to move into it. Despite it apparently being a 6-man base, there's no way it was made for 6 survivors. The amount of space and facilities you get could easily house 12 survivors, and even more if the game allowed it. Apart from that though, there's no real weaknesses. And there you have it folks, we've discussed the top 10 bases and what makes them the top 10. Hopefully in enough detail for you. No real shock who the winner was though, that base is ahead of the competition by miles. Let me know in the comments what your favourite base is, and if you think you'd give any of these 10 a try.